And either YouTube's not updating or it's not wanting to work.
I see live over
public. Yes. Refresh the page, maybe. Watching this right now. I'm so sorry.
Go with the flow, right? Calm down.
Nope, 0 viewers. Ain't doing nothing.
0.
What is going on?
The hero.
Okay, so says, are we live? I think we're live. I think we're live.
We're live.
And it says it's private. Why the fuck does it say it's private?
It's a private party.
Great.
I'm going to get a beverage.
I'm going to need a cigarette this way.
Right, you get a cigarette, I get a beverage, I got my onion dip.
Right.
I can go crunch, 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 but I won't do that.
And here we go. Get ready to publish.
I say go crunch, crunch, crunch anyway. Be free. Be free.
Be free.
Be free.
Hopefully we're live now. Start with our intro real quick.
I heart you.
Hey, Mel. Yes. The song.
Coming to you live from an undisclosed location atop the Rocky Mountains in the beautiful Pacific Northwest of the United States of America. This is Dark Wolf's Den. I'm glad to have everybody with us that's joining us tonight, whether you're live with us or you're watching this on a replay. We're glad to be doing this. So we've got a couple great guests with us tonight, starting with, I'm going to unmute one at a time, Miss Mel. How we doing tonight, Mel?
I'm great, thank you, DarkWolf. Hope you're okay.
Well, got a little head cold we're fighting, but besides that, not too awful. Probably why we have such trouble getting this stream going tonight. We've actually been trying, guys, for about, so glad we finally got it worked out. Next up, we have Shell's Time Adventures. How we doing, Shell?
I'm doing pretty good. You can just call me Shell. I want to edit it back, but I have to wait my 90 days.
Yeah, that's kind of aggravating, isn't it? I like the name of the show.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. We're glad to have you here. You've got such a upbeat and wonderful energy every time you go live. I just had to have you on this channel.
Got the lava lamp going on over there. Got the, you know.
Oh, I love the lava lamps. That is too cool.
That's what's up.
And last but not least up, we have Katmir. Glad to have you here, Katmir.
Hey.
Hello. Good evening.
Hey, glad to have you here, bud. So we do have a viewer. That means it's working. That is awesome. All right, so we're going to go down the line. Shell, you have a YouTube channel, yes?
Yes, I do. And like you had described, it's Shell Time Adventures. You know, sliding through time, having fun, you know, and staying in the now. Don't worry about yesterday and don't worry about tomorrow, and just stay in your now right now and have fun. You know, like the lava lamp, waiting for those bubbles to come. Come on, bubbles. Come on and cook, bubbles. Get nice and heated up.
So God, I love lava lamps. And Mel, you also have a YouTube channel, yes?
I do. It's just under my name, Melony Gallagher.
And what kind of stuff do you cover on your channel?
I've done audio casts, but it's just audio. There's no video, and I've just done a few about the things that I've been learning about: Mandela effect, ascension. You know, the origins of humanity, Sumerian history, that kind of thing.
Excellent. That's good. Kind of the same topics we touch on here.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot more in the year. I'm going to start doing guided meditations and things like that. So there'll be a lot more stuff going on next year.
Oh, guided meditations. Really? You're going to go live with some of those then, or record some of them anyway?
Yeah, record some of them as well as do reviews on all the books I'm reading, and maybe something like 101 classes for waking up, different different aspects of that. So yeah, that kind of thing. So I've got lots of ideas. I've got a book and I'm writing down all my ideas. So
Awesome. And Katmir, do you have a YouTube channel, sir?
I do not. I have one there, but there is no content in it.
At least you're honest. Are you planning on doing one, or do you just like your style?
No, I'm not there yet.
Not there yet? Honest answer. It took me a long time to be on YouTube before I ever decided to do a channel. Even then, I was like, I don't know about all that. So back to Shell. So you are Mandela affected, yes?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. All right.
It's awesome. I just feel normal. I feel totally normal. The way you say it, it's like Mandela affected. It's like, actually, I'm in the know. I've learned that today. In the know. Yeah, so we are knowing.
How did you first come across the Mandela effect?
I was watching Net Geo, and it was a show called Year 1 Million, and it was talking about high tech and how we could put robots far away from us and push our consciousness into them. Watching that show, and then they're kind of making fun of the Mandela affected people. I didn't know what they're talking about, but then they started talking about the Bernstein Bears. Bringing my kids to the library and noticing that was the one that I saw said stain, Bernstein.
Right.
Weird, but I was busy with my kids, like, when they were younger, like 6 and 4, and I'm going through the library and I'm like, whatever, it's some cheap knockoff of Bernstein. And I didn't really care. I didn't really think about it. And then when they started talking about that in the movie, that, another thing in it was about the movie Shazam, comedian Sinbad. And I'm like, I remember that movie came out, but I didn't see it and I didn't have the VHS. I mean, this is a long time ago. So I believe that I was aware for a long time in my life. I'm not sure when that all started, but when I was awake, it was in August this year, 4 months ago, waking up to that. And then I just consumed as much information as possible to understand more about why we're calling it Mandela. And that's where I'm at. And just met you guys through Discord. It's awesome. And thanks for having me on the show. Yay.
Discord is so amazing. We have such a great group over there, guys. If you don't know what it is, I'll drop a link in the description box after the show so anybody can join us. Kind of portal room, and then, of course, you kind of expand from there. Melony, how long have you been dealing with the Mandela effect?
I've known about the Mandela effect. I found out about it, I think it was September 2016. How long I've been dealing with it, I think is a lot longer. I just didn't realise. But yeah, I've been aware of it since September 16, yeah.
Gotcha. And Katmir, how about yourself? When did you come across the Mandela effect?
It was years ago, and I want to say it was a 2008 podcast that I was listening to.
I want to say it was
Sorry. At least we know we're broadcasting.
It's like there's an echo.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I want to say it was a 2008 podcast. It was, I think it was Dave Schrader's show, and Dave Schrader, he is a time travel, movie buff. Mm-hmm. He likes that stuff, and he was interviewing people about that. But I was listening to it at work, and for some reason, he and the other people who were in the studio sort of got lost in an argument concerning the actor Kirk Douglas, whether he was dead or not.
Hmm.
And I was with the side that had seen, I saw it on Entertainment Tonight or something like that. And I was like, oh no, there goes Spartacus. But the other half were like, no, he's alive and well. He's around. And that's when I first heard the term, and it was during that podcast. It wasn't more about time travel than anything, but it turned into a discussion about Mandela effect. And it's just been off and on ever since then. Mm-hmm. I was just noticing a lot of things I wasn't really into, looking specifically into the Mandela effect. It was more like noticing things like apparently I was remembering all the scriptures I had memorized from the Bible wrong. And so I had to shy away from that. And then there were discussions with my own family that were going nowhere because apparently they remembered history differently than I did. I thought I was going crazy. I checked myself into a spa just to make sure. And I did, veteran privilege. But it was just slowly, just off and on. This year, it just came to it just came to a point where I was like, I had decided that I was going to make a local meetup group, just to talk about the Mandela effect. But that very same day, which by the way was just last month, just in November, I met somebody named Jen, and through her, I found the Discord app, and that's how I got in touch with Shell, who's been phenomenal with this, and here I am with you.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here, bud. Would that happen to be Jen Gems, Jen?
Jen
Yep.
Gems. Jen Gems. Yeah.
Gems.
Gems.
Really
like her.
Yeah. She lives like an hour from here, from where I'm at.
Oh, that's awesome. So you got somebody semi-local.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk about it with.
Yeah.
I kind of got lucky. I got somebody local I can talk to with too. I actually just moved across the country, and I've got somebody local here, so that's cool. So
right
we know
on.
what Shell's first one was. We know what Katmir's first one was. Mel, what was your first wake up Mandela effect? Like, what the heck's going on here?
Position of South America.
South
That was one of the first ones. Yeah, first ones I come
wow.
across, and I'm like, South America is over there. So yeah, that was it. But I actually found out about it because somebody told me about it. They actually said to me, have you heard of the Mandela effect? And I said no. And they just said in passing, Google it. And I Googled it, and I don't like saying Google anymore. I just said I internet searched it, and yeah, we need to stop saying that. And that's when I found out about it. But yeah, South America, yeah, definitely wasn't there.
It's funny. I got a story about South America. A couple weeks ago, I work in a hotel now, and I'm again still working with the public. And I was talking to a coworker about it, and they pulled a guest into the conversation. Interested the guest was, so I was like, well, do you know much about maps? He said, I'm a topographical expert. That's what I do is maps. I said, all right, here, let me show you something. And I showed him South America. I said, just does this look right to you? He said, no, it's like a whole country off. I was like, yeah, okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't just me. Thanks.
Brilliant. Brilliant. You should have got it on video.
Oh, I know, right? Sadly, my video or my phone does like 20 seconds of video. So
okay, that's a problem.
Really crappy phone. So if anybody who's watched this show knows that there's a question that I ask every guest, every show. And personally, I think it becomes kind of a touchy topic sometimes, and I've heard it discussed daily in the Discord. So, Mel, this time, do you think we should wake people up and tell them about the Mandela effect and wake them up to the truth of reality, or do you think we should just kind of let it go? What do you think we should do in those situations?
Oh, well, I think the question's a bit too black and white. I think the answer is yes and no. depends on what your definition of waking them up is. I think going out there, you know, screaming at them, "God, you sleep," isn't going to work. But just dropping hints or just in general conversation. I mean, just in the last 3 days, I've spoken to half a dozen people who are awake, you know, and I found it just through general conversation, not necessarily to the Mandela effect, but there's lots of different things to be awake to.
Right.
But I also believe that I believe in the process of energetic entrainment. So the very fact that you're keeping your frequency higher, the more time you spend around people, their frequency will rise because everything wants to be in harmony. And you can also do it through meditation as well. So you can manifest with your intent, raising a specific person's vibration in various ways. So there's many different ways of doing it. But overall, yes, we need to wake people up.
Excellent answer. Because personally, before I continue, I'll throw Mandela effect into every open end of conversation I can find. I hear Star Wars, I hear peanut butter, I hear anything. Hey, did you hear about this? You know, Shelsha, do you think we should wake people up not only to the Mandela effect, but
I think it's in waves. Like you got to kind of go with the flow, and you need to stay in the now. Now, my now is to stay centered and balanced so I can be as strong as I possibly can when someone reaches out to me and they do need my help. I believe we're in a spiritual awakening, and Mel alluded to a lot of that with, with us raising in vibration. So right now with the waves, and the wave I'm on right now, and waves go up and down, right? And they come side to side, and I'm trying to stay centered and balanced, and it's strange to say it, but self-centered. And a lot of these lessons I learned through Discord, and all the many friends that I've made through Discord, through all that information, and pick up what makes the most sense to you. Consent. If you consent to a certain reality, and then that's what you see. So if you're thinking you're being gang stalked or you're a targeted individual, then that's the reality you're going to lead. And it's time to, in my videos lately, I've been talking to them to help them understand that they're creating their own reality. It's like waves. So I'll do the happy wave, and then I'll do the, hey guys, come up with us wave. So it's like up here, take care of myself, and then go back down there and try and pull them back up. Kind of like back and forth. Yeah.
Ebb and flow. And I like that, staying in the moment. That's really important thing to do. And that's something that I think we should all struggle to do, in my opinion, is stay in the moment and focus on what's going on right then, right there. And it's funny how I was
really
going to make
quick
a video about this. Go ahead.
I'm a student. I really am. Mel is my teacher, and I've learned a lot from her. And I learn a lot from Katmir, and I learn a lot from you. And Kat and Idaho. I can name everybody, and everybody has a piece. And even meeting affected. I resonate with her today, and it's amazing, and I'm ready for her teaching. I really am. And I think that you just need to be aware and awake at every moment in your now, giving you that lesson to help you and stay in your best now that you consent to. Consent. And I'm good.
All right, we're definitely
Mel.
Yeah, Mel is playing around in the kitchen over there, cooking us some dinner for later after.
I'm making a drink.
And I just drank a drink, so.
Thank you, Shell. Thank you, and I learned from you as well. I love you to bits.
I like that we all have different pieces of the puzzle. That's awesome. Katmir. We should wake people up and throw things in conversation every chance we get, scream it from the top of this buildings, or what do you think we should do? Should we slowly wake people up, or should we just let them do it on their own? What do you think?
How do we do that? I mean, I've been throwing the term Mandela effect into conversations lately. If somebody is, I don't know, maybe they forget something or they make a comment and they close it with, "That was weird, right?" I'll be like, "Oh, it must be the Mandela effect." The reason I do it that way is because I was the guy with the megaphone, but no, because I'm more for the slow thing, and people have to be self-motivated to do it, to research and research deep. This is for me, it's personal. The changes are ultimately they are, because that's part of my motivation. But as far as waking people up to the Mandela effect, I would say this deep into the 21st century, if they're not looking, they're not interested. Like
It's
for example,
hard.
the American actor Jim Nabors dying for the third time, I believe.
It's been claimed up to 3 or 4 times, yes.
At least. That's one thing that should prompt people to use the internet or ask somebody about this kind of a thing, and then engage in that conversation. The other part about why am I not waking people up to the Mandela effect is because at least in my experience, although it seems like generally speaking, and people who are sensitive to information, whether it's the real stuff or disinfo, they're also in tune with their environment spiritually, so they would have noticed anyway. And I think that as it is right now, there's a certain sense of urgency about things going on. And I'm not talking about this mundane environmental stuff. It's more like an energetic thing. So since my awareness is there, I'd rather focus on that. Everyone else can play catch up, I would say. Doesn't that sound mean? It sounds mean and cold.
No, doesn't it?
No, we're all
It
different
does.
levels of
I think it's our turn.
That's the thing. I mean, even right now, with this group, and I have hopped from group to group to group for a couple of years now, and it seems to me like it's not just the people who are aware of the government behind the government, or people who are aware that the coexist bumper sticker is the best way to go, rather than just picking and choosing and being a zealot. Amongst those people, the ones who are Mandela affected, we have an edge of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's there, and whatever our efforts are, we need to combine them. And I would dare say that just vibe-wise, everyone else will follow suit.
I'd say so. Like Michelle was saying, keeping your vibration high and being around others can bring up their vibrations and help everybody uplift each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from Mel. Yeah.
She's a brilliant teacher. That she is.
Yeah. No.
I learned it from David Icke. I don't know who you learned it from.
She doesn't have to share, and she does, and she shares, and she plants seeds, and we grow. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah. We all have pieces of the puzzle.
We all do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like you know, if you're ready for this, you know, we'll talk about it. If you're not, it's like, you know, come back to me when your vibe is over here.
All right.
And I'm nobody, but you know.
And it's your consent, and it's all your choice. And it's your consent where you want to go and be, and you want to.
Yeah.
So.
No, go ahead. I like that. We all consent to our own reality.
Right.
Life. You really consent to what you're doing. You got yourself to where you're at.
That's why it's important to stay self-centered and be balanced. So you make the right choices for you. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Everybody feel the same way on that?
Wow, so serious.
Very serious.
That thing heating up. Heat up, level lamp.
I think we make our reality to a certain extent. Collectively, we make our own reality. And we influence, you know, the things that are very personal to us, we influence more, and the things that are shared, you know, in other people's realities, then you co-create. So yeah, we do definitely influence our own reality, but in a co-creative way. But that's why, you know, bringing everyone's frequency up and waking people up is so important, because unless they learn to master driving their cars, like we're learning to drive our cars, our bodies, then, you know, there's going to be a lot of crashes. So if everyone is a responsible driver, then they're going to be fine.
Say what you said on Discord earlier today. You were talking about cars. You said it's like out there in the world, people are fighting, and they're fighting about. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
you're saying like we're all fighting.
It? Yeah, it's like we're fighting each other over what car we drive.
Yeah, like it's just ridiculous. It's like fighting over what car you drive. Like I drive this kind of car, you drive that kind of car.
Yeah, speaking of fighting, it's so silly.
I'm glad it went down this direction, because this leads right into my next question. I want to start with Katmir this time, and we'll work backwards. So Katmir, what do you think of these people who just call it all, and we made it up, it's in our heads, it's bollocks? What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, that yeah, I'm still learning how to not go Hulk on that. Like, it's what is it? False memory, I think, is one of the terms.
Yes.
False memory. There's like another term for that, like a group psychosis or some crap like that. Even though we're all scattered across the planet. I honestly don't think much. The way that I reacted to friends and family not knowing who the heck I was, and I not knowing who those people were, I basically retreated and you know, had to you know, throw the subject here and there to see who would resonate with the conversation in the first place. So it's false memory, whatever. It's for me, it's just like engaging in any other conversation, like about all the other serious stuff, you know, GMO, NWO, blah blah blah. It's like, if you can't follow the combo, okay, that's cool, you know.
Right. All right, Mel, what about you? To these people who say we're out of our minds, it's bollocks. We're just making it up, confabulating memories, even though we all have the exact same confabulated memory. What do you say to that?
I'd say that this is going to be a bit unpopular, but I'd say in some respects they're right, but they're also wrong. I think for a lot of the Mandela effects out there are confabulation, but a lot aren't. So this is the problem. You know, it's quite easy if you're not affected, you don't believe in it, to find examples of confabulation or what you can legitimately say is confabulation to endorse your claim that it's not real. The problem is, we know it is real because we've seen the effects in our own reality, in our homes, you know? So I think until you're affected in that way, I can perfectly understand people saying that, because 18 months ago, I would have been one of them. You know, I would have said the same, you know, and so yeah, I completely understand it, but it's just the case. More and more people are going to be affected, personally, undeniably. And it's happening at an exponential rate. So we just got to be patient. That's what I say. We just got to be patient.
I fully agree. I like that. I like that a lot. Shell, what about you? Is it confabulation? If I come up to you and say, you know what, this Mandela effect thing, you're out of your mind. You're making stuff up. It's confabulation. You remembered it wrong. What would you say?
I would quote Mr. Robot. Quote I saw in one of the episodes was, "This control you think you have is an illusion." So they're trying to control us, right?
Right.
Because we are resonating and we are growing and we have more power. And I love the song From Soul to Soul, keep on moving. You know, you got to keep on moving. Don't stop. We're just going to move away from that and not paying any attention, because I'm not going to consent to it. So maybe people are saying that, but they're not saying it in my reality.
Not
I'm moving on.
I got it. Okay, now let me go into the next question, because that leads into this. When you do talk to somebody about it, or kind of open somebody up to it, do you get any weird reactions, or do you get just kind of yeah, or do they just kind of stare off? What's been your experience?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Me too.
I think that you plant the seed and it takes time for it to germinate and grow. And I'm seeing it just start growing. I really am. People that are resonating with that word, seed, like at work, and you just continue to be nice and be yourself. And they are starting to gravitate to me like I'm the sun.
Really?
So they want to come to me for their light, because I give them energy and it's not exhausting to me and I enjoy it. And actually it's kind of like a vibration. It's really awesome. I've been noticing that in the last few weeks. Yes.
I noticed that as well. I think that's definitely true. I can feel it from you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're like a Duracell battery.
I'm the little bunny. Tick, 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 tick. And my battery's in my back, not in my legs. Mandela effect.
Mel, what's been your experience when you told people about the ME?
I think I know I've heard stories about these NPCs, people call them non-player characters, and mind wipes, and that's not been my experience. I've seen definitely memory changes in people, but not the experience I've heard others have had where it's really obvious. I mean, the way I talk about it is I tend to talk about the science of it first. I broach it in a roundabout way by getting into a conversation about energy and the scientific discoveries about the water and things like that. And then I don't call it usually the Mandela effect. I simply go into that area. Well, if we can do all this, that means we can change our reality, you know? So I broach it that way. That's what I've learned to do. I mean, at the beginning, I was like, oh, Mandela effect. But that just puts people off. So it's better to go in the roundabout way.
I love you.
True. And what about you? Odd circumstances, waking people up, telling people about the Mandela effect, or?
Let's see. I was on. I called in on a show, on Freedomizer Radio, and there was the topic of the Mandela effect came up, which is why I called in. This was earlier this year, and at the time, I was totally freaking out about Bible scripture, and when I brought it up, just brought up the relation of the Mandela effect to changes in scripture, I got a type of backlash, meaning that the person that I approached about the subject was convinced that the Mandela effect was an outright attack against Christians and Christianity, and then she just took off from there and just kind of like veered off the subject in that sense. Someone that I have been able to talk to about it, just in a roundabout way, is a coworker of mine. He's a Marine, and he can follow the conversation, but he's thinking that it's some kind of like super MK Ultra thing, and that the beams are affecting certain people of a type of DNA, and that's why not everybody is remembering things correctly. So he's one of those, and that's where the conversation goes that way, And I'm like, I can't completely alienate myself from everybody. Oh my gosh. But
and that has been a pretty popular theory, MK Ultra mind control. Is that your personal theory? Do you agree with that, or is that he said?
I can absolutely see where he's coming from, because I've seen tongue-tied. All right, so no, I've seen the equipment list for that kind of machinery. When I was in the Air Force, I had a couple of minutes and I got curious. I was looking up stuff from my G.I. Joe action figure equipment list, and I was surprised to find that stuff there. And one of the things had to do with deceptive warfare. So, there's a check mark. That was a check mark for me.
Right.
And then fast forward with all the other things that I now know. My work buddy, telling me, well, it must be some kind of a mind control, and it's affecting only certain people, just like certain diseases only affect some people. Blah 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 blah. I can see that. I totally do. The thing is that we're talking about an entire lifetimes of memory, and it's not just memory about pop culture things or the World Atlas. It's like relationships. It's entire people. And like I said, for me, it's pretty darn drastic. Okay, I have like this many people here that I can say I'm close to. So
I've for myself, where my group of friends that I grew up with and known for years and years and years, just right in front of my eyes, shifted personality like overnight. Understand what you mean about people being different around you. Mel, you've been on this for quite a while. I know at least 2 years or a year, because I know I've been hanging around with you for about a year talking about ME. So do you have any theories that you're 100% or feel like you really have a good idea what it could be?
I mean, it's great talking about theories, isn't it? It's so much fun. I think
this is the theory channel.
I think the problem is the Mandela effect is a bit like the word autism. It's actually, I think, one term that covers a multitude of different phenomena, many of it man-made, Many of it, like we can talk about the Illuminati and the Cabal and whatever you want to call them, and some of it energetic, you know, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's very difficult. I think the problem is there's not one theory. I don't think that will cover all of it because there's different causal factors for all of these. But in terms of what I consider the Mandela effect, which is actual physical reality being manipulatable by our thoughts, then yes, I think it's the co-creative consciousness. I think we're doing it ourselves. I really do. I think collectively, our species and possibly all life on Earth but most specifically the humans are doing this ourselves. That's why you're getting flip-flops. That's why you're getting residue. You know, if my frequency is up sufficiently high, and my favorite brand of cat treats, or my cat's favorite brand, Dreamies, suddenly changes the brand, but I don't know this, and my frequencies are not high enough that I can manipulate reality, then it will still stay Dreamies. But if I Google it and suddenly find out, sorry, internet search it, suddenly find out it's Dreamy, then I could look around and it will change because I've changed it. You know, and this is why it seemed a bit like the terminology, the phrase, the Mandela effect, in many people's experiences is almost like a magic spell. You put it in, you find out, suddenly reality starts changing around you. Because once you're aware you can do it, subliminally, suddenly you start doing it. And that's why it snowballs and gets more and more effects all the time. That's what I think. We're doing it ourselves, yeah.
All right, I like that. I really like that. So you think it's manifestation, whether we mean to or not, you think we're manifesting things into our own realities.
Yes, exactly. And most people are just learning how to do it. May not even be aware they're doing it. It's like they're the passenger in the car, back to the car metaphor, and they're just starting to touch the steering wheel. And, you know, without even being aware of it, suddenly they're like, oh, it's a steering wheel. And now they're starting to learn it. And that's what we do in our community, isn't it? We're learning how to master this, control it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm starting.
We do a lot of practice on meditation and things like that in our community. Go ahead, Katmir. What's that, bud?
Oh no, I'm just have a comment about that because for the longest time I've had this just beyond frustration concerning being one of those emirs, because on one hand, I would be the first to say no. There's no way I would want to give up, you know, my friendships that I've had for decades. You know, there's no way I would want to like stop. You know, not really stop, but just like not talk to like my own immediate family, like my parents, my sisters, and so forth. I would say I would be the first to say no. There's no way I would choose that. It's a horrible thing to say, but at the same time, and pop culture is part of my upbringing, so I have the fairy tale sci-fi thing going on. Go nerds. Yeah, but seriously though, I mean, it took a nerd to build this tech that we're enjoying right now. If someone didn't wonder about it, it wouldn't have manifested that way. Go nerds. But what Mel says, where it's like, well, you manifested it. That's the other part that I have to also agree with, because are you kidding? If I had access to, like, I don't know, like in the movie Stargate, if I had access to one of those things, I'd freaking dive face first through it, I would.
Here, me too.
I would.
Peace.
So so match that, super happy, leisure fun time with the other aspect of my reality, which is weird shit will happen. Okay. And yeah, you have somebody like me who was probably, just vibing the right way, and whoosh, I'm here with all of you, and this is some other place. Okay. It's created differently. Attitudes are different, There's a completely different history here with things.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. As far as like, oh, you manifested it. Yeah, sure. I think I agreed with it. In the back of my head, first portal I see, I'm going through it. So
that's something I found with the Mandela effect is, like Jiffy's my favorite. And Chell, I haven't forgot about you with this question. Now I'm coming back to you.
how did you forget Chell?
I've forgotten.
I haven't.
I'm good.
So, yeah, it's kind of my job, host. Jiffy peanut butter. So I looked into this. Everybody in our age range. I'm 37, so I'll give you a generality. Everybody in our age range remembers Jiffy peanut butter, at least Mandela effect. Clearly, it don't look right to me anymore. But I went back and looked at the history. In 1960, the guy that created it called it Jiffy peanut butter. Procter & Gamble that same year, they from that point on marketed it as Jif. So there's no reason we should remember the original creator's name that was never really publicized that much strongly.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's quantum, isn't it? That's quantum physics. If we change it now, it'll change in the past.
Retrocausality. Interesting, huh? I've noticed that with some of the other Emmys too, but that was the one that stuck with me. Shell, so we don't skip out on this. Do you have any theories, any ideas what exactly is going on in causing the Mandela effect?
How far do I go? All right, so, and again, it's just bringing together, and it's Gaia woke up, and she's resonating, and sees, and even people that hear things and they think like MK Ultra, oh no, it's really they're hearing Gaia and they're sensitive and sensing empaths. And sensing empaths their whole lives, where they were always there for others and helped others, and they've been stepped on, and they have this extra ability that they can do amazing things. It's their turn to take care of themselves and to just go with the flow and stay in the now. Yesterday, what happened to them or what they did wrong, and don't worry about tomorrow, where you're going or where you're going to be, and just keep trying to stay centered right here on this moment now. And then you think about it and you say, I'm winning. I'm winning right now. In that moment in time, like even my friends tell me, you think too much, you're thinking too much. And so I made a cute little saying out of it. And I take my little, it's like a little lemon biscuit, lemon cookie, and I dip it in my heart. And in my heart, I understand to stay centered here. And those are the chakras, and I'm learning all this stuff. I mean, Roman Catholic girl here, shame, shame, shame. Don't listen to this. Don't do Ouija board. Don't do tarot cards. Don't even think of those things, or a ghost. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. But in your heart is opening up, and you can feel it, and people are starting to realize, and we're humans, and they need to follow their heart.
Gotcha.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, advice I could give.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's move on with that then, Mel.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way Shell put this. It made me think of a question. So to the new people, and I know we've all noticed that it comes in waves. So then we'll get a new wave of people who are waking up to it. And then it'll be a month or two, and we'll get a whole new wave of people. So to these new people, especially the ones that will be watching this show, do you have any advice for them about the Mandela effect?
Don't be scared. Do not be scared. There's nothing to be scared about. It may seem scary at first, like anything new that you don't understand is. But that doesn't mean it is scary. In fact, it's empowering. So once you learn about it, you learn that you are the master of your own reality and can affect and can have a significant impact on the world. So if you felt powerless before, if you felt disengaged from politics and disengaged from what's going on in the world, suddenly you'll find you're fully engaged because now you realize that you can do something about it, even in a small way, but you can. So don't be scared. It's exciting. It's good news.
Excellent. I like that a lot. And I couldn't quote that any better. Don't be scared. Katmir, what about you? People that just woke up to the Mandela effect, they really don't know what to think about it. Do you have any advice for them?
Have fun with it. I'm along the same line with Mel there, because what my inner nerd here is saying that you just realized that there is more to the world than just what you see. There's the possibilities are infinite. So all those things that you were scared to do, or the conversations you like Shell said, no, don't do it. Don't go down those paths. Don't explore them. You don't have much of a choice. You've already been placed here. So explore them. You'll discover incredible things about yourself and about the world around you. And it's great. Have fun.
Have fun. Absolutely. Don't be scared and have fun. And keep your vibration really, really, really high.
Vibe high.
I'd like to add any. I'm sorry.
Lava lamp. Anyway.
And buy lava
the lava lamp.
I'd like to
The
add
lava lamp.
before we move on.
No.
No. All right. Awesome. So that went great, didn't it?
I don't know. He said it kind of fast. Is there any other points you'd like to make before he moves on?
Wow.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
La, 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 la,
On the
la.
Mandela effect. If you're new to it, as you start researching it, you're bound to hear about these. The idea that was different timelines, and
Ooh.
I think I'm not sure that I subscribe to that theory, but whether it's true or not, I think be aware that a lot of stuff that's put out there is put out there in such a way, originally in order to engender disempowerment and fear. And I think that's one of them.
That's
I think
good.
if you fear you're on some ride and you can't get off, and somebody else is controlling it and bumping you along different tracks.
Oh my God!
That can be frightening.
You see what happens
so
about
silly.
that ride?
I don't believe that's the case. I think that is it's a physics kind of way of explaining reality and different potential worlds. That's what I think. And
yes.
But even if you don't think that, and you think there are these actual other Earths that you're going to go to, just remember that you are in control of which one you go to and what it's going to be like there, whether it's going to be nicer for you or not nicer for you with your frequency. Either way that you think about it, the effect's the same. You control your reality to a large extent.
Back to life, back to reality.
That's a great song. I love my 90s.
That's why I'm listening all around. I got those songs in my head. So.
Okay, so something else I've noticed in the community, mainly on YouTube, not so much in the Discord community, but have you guys or how should I word this in a good way? Without mentioning any names, do you think there's a lot of disinformation out there, or a little bit, or when it comes to the Mandela effect, what do you think? Starting with Shell.
Okay, great. Loopers. So I think I learned this concept from Mel, or maybe someone else, I don't know, but the 3D, right? And they're kind of not really resonating with moving on up. And they might keep circling, maybe kind of hitting the edges of the 4D, and then they kind of rotate right back down to 3D. And maybe it's a lot of a fake book, watching the fake book, and they get I don't know, from TV or whatever, I don't know. Kind of changed my diet, and I'm trying to eat vegetables, and I don't know, and I'm not watching much TV, and I don't have a fake book because I like the road I'm on, and I don't want to. I don't want to go 5 steps back. I want to keep going, and I think that the Mandela effect that are kind of looping around because they haven't learned the lesson, or they haven't, like, if there's kind of like opposition in someone else, and this is great, and I can name her name. I don't think she minds. Pat on the back, she was saying that if something comes at you and you're like, what the hell is going on and what's wrong with this person, it's really a lesson for you to learn about yourself. And then again, going back to being centered and balanced and staying in your own now. And then, so something comes at you and it's like really just bugging you and you're like, what the heck? You got to like really think about it and internalize it and figure it out inside your own self, and move on.
Gotcha. All right. Mel maybe stepped away for a moment. She's got her symbol up and muted out, so she may be taking care of something. Katmir, do you think there's been a whole lot of disinformation in the community, or none, or have you seen very much of it yourself?
I have seen disinfo even within the Mandela effect community. I know that there's, I know for a fact that there's people out there and that do this for a living. They, if they're not paid for it, this is what they live for. It's like their favorite hobby ever to basically, lack of a better term, infiltrate and disturb the peace of a certain community. With the Mandela effect, it's I've seen it here and there where people are just they're so tempted to bust out the doubt and fear in exploring further this phenomenon, this Mandela effect. And I think that happens in just about every community out there. Very few amongst those kind of people they're not interested in learning. They're only interested in disrupting. I think after a while, I think the tenacity of the good ones, the ones who are searchers, the ones who are curious, creative, they're and they're exercising this very thing that Shell has mentioned. Some of the conversations get deep, and they do get heated because a lot of people, they're still hanging on to some kind of a habit, and it might even be an attitude about a particular subject. Could be anything. I don't know, the definition of density or gravity or something like that. And it'll turn into like an argument, but like Shell pointed out, it's not that there is a straight up animosity amongst emirs. That is actually the very moment that the one should realize that they need to pause, and they need to, however you want to say it, I'll say calibrate. I know it's a mechanical term, but they need to adjust their attitude and see what it is about themselves that is deciding that is a thing that's hurting them. As far as trolls, they get bored, they weed themselves out, or they get kicked out. But as far as anything else after that, I don't know. I'm so far, I have no reason to doubt that emirs have a certain edge in their vibe, and they can get through things like disinfo and disagreements. So
I agree. That's one crazy thing I found with this community from day one is everybody's so completely accepting. We're all going through the exact same thing, whether we're in England, America, South Africa, wherever the case may be. We're all the exact same, like, accepting type people. Mel, do you think there's been a large amount in? Okay, so I'm going to take it all the way back to when you and I first started hanging out and doing YouTube and whatnot. Have you seen a rise or any kind of disinformation in the community, or has that been, what do you think?
There has been a slight rise of disinfo, especially like coming in the mainstream media. I mean, that's inevitable, and I think it's just going to get worse because they are going to have to address this more and more, and obviously they're going to address it in a disinformation manner. I think there's a lot of information out there, not the majority, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. There's a lot of information out there that is misinformation, that is incorrect, but not intended to be incorrect. So I think there's a lot of people out there doing YouTube videos about Mandela effect, for example, on what they understand it to be, but that may not be correct. But I don't think there's a lot of disinfo in the alternative media at the moment. I think it's mostly misinformation, but I think that is going to get worse. There is going to be more and more bleeding into the alternative media for sure, as they are going to have to address this. Definitely,
Yeah.
they being
I agree with that.
those that should not be in power.
Yeah, those that should not be. The powers that shouldn't be. That's what I watch a show called Ted Baker Show over on Truth Frequency Radio. And
Good show.
we got a guy come on there. He always calls it the powers that should not be. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move on to a different topic, is there anything anybody would like to throw out there about the Mandela effect? Anything, thoughts, anything?
I had a note.
Meditation. Sorry.
And we are quantum. Quote by Son of Polar Bears. Yes. We are quantum. He said this randomly one day, and I wrote it down, and I really loved it.
He is awesome. I got to get him in here sometime doing the like he is absolutely.
We are quantum. Hear us roar.
And isn't water incredible? Isn't water an amazing thing? I know you were looking at me thinking, what? But if you think about it, in my opinion, water is the medium in which we are changing reality. Water molecules, because our thoughts affect it, our thoughts change its structure, we can manipulate it, and almost everything's got water in it. The air around us is full of water. I mean, it seems to me that is at least one of the mediums in which we're doing this. I mean, water's always been known to be incredible, but how incredible is it now? It's just amazing.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. Has everybody heard of Dr. Emoto's work with water and manifestation?
No.
Yes.
So tell me all about it.
Oh, most definitely. We sure will. I'm trying to pull up the window because I want to show pictures. This is so amazing, guys.
Oh.
So this doctor in, I want to say he's Japanese.
Yeah, he's Japanese.
Okay. He did a lot of experiments with water and ice. And what he would do, I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share real quick. What he would do is he would put intent into these different jars of water and freeze them and see what kind of things came about. There's a YouTube video I'm pulling up right now. I'm going to try to keep it muted. These are the effects, and it'll tell to what word. So, for instance, if we can get one here.
I believe it was in some sort of a movie or a show, and it was like posters inside a subway, and it showed the different, like a, I don't know, maybe it was a video.
This would be love. A jar with the intent of love put into it, with love written on the side or anything like that. Frozen. This is the ice crystal that came out. Then we have the thank you is the next one. And I want to show you a couple of these to show you the contrast.
Ah, I see.
Love and appreciation. This is, man, isn't that crazy? I don't know how they got that gold light coming on it. Happiness.
This
So,
explains why they used to say grace before eating and drinking.
yes. Mel, tell us about plants and how this could affect plants.
Okay, so plants are majority of our cells are with water. So if you're feeling like you care about your plants, just the fact you've got your attention on them in a non-negative way, affects the structure of the water molecules within their cells. And it's been shown that the structure of the water molecule has a significant impact on the health of the cell and therefore on the health of the organism. So if you give them love, that's the best you can do, and they're gonna thrive in your care. If you ignore them, they're not going to do so well. And if you really don't like plants or believe you can't grow plants, then you're going to be projecting that, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get dead plants.
Right. So let me show you. And yes, it's exactly the water molecules inside the plants is what we're actually affecting. So this one right here that I'm showing right now is "You make me sick, I will kill you." And I know that's disturbing, but did you see how different that was opposed to the other ones? Just
Looks like a man,
yeah, no real shape. It kind of does, doesn't it?
like holding a weapon.
Like
Yeah.
crystalline shape is just kind of
Hey, you're right.
Yeah.
And every biochemical process, everything that
This is like
occurs in your
Nazca line
body
stuff here.
Yeah.
requires the structure of water to do it. You know, so it affects everything.
Right now,
This is the word soul.
we need to bless our water.
Oh yes, this is the word soul written on one. Note the heart shape right in the middle of this.
Yeah.
So he did many, many experiments, and this has been done with rice. This has been done multiple times.
When was all this done?
It's done over years, isn't it?
Years ago.
So it must be a different reality.
The first time I heard of something like this was with music.
Yeah.
Ah.
And as far as I'm aware, it's been repeated. Sorry, that one.
What were you saying, Mel?
Can't hear you, DarkWolf. So I'll just say, as far as I'm aware, this experiment has been repeated I think over 30 times around the world now. So, and with the same results. And there's been many other types of experiments demonstrating exactly the same thing, and also the effect that it has on living organisms in various ways. So this started off at just this. It's been repeated multiple times, and now it's branched off into showing other applications and how it affects other things. But it all comes back to the structure of the water molecule, which has always been special, but now even more so.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I'm taking that away today's show for sure. Yeah, I need to do that. Bless my water and my food and everything.
And it even shows in there the blessings over water opposed to other things. Chat amongst yourselves on this topic in just a minute.
Okay, so it seems as though it doesn't matter what you say, it's all about your intention.
Yeah, it's the thought, it's the emotion. Yeah, that not the word. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, the words. I haven't heard the words. I mean, there are people, you know, you can go into the sound frequency of words, and there's a lot of fear stuff out there about that. But no, as far as I'm aware, it's the emotion, it's the thought, the intent.
Katmir, what do you think?
I had to sketch something because
Okay.
in my experience, the big deal thing about the particles of everything has to do with electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that when you know you're focusing on the water, and I remembered that experiment. That was the first thing that came to mind. I remember also similar experiments like you know, the plate with the salt or the sand on it, and then underneath the plate is the sound is coming out of it.
Yeah,
and it creates the same those same shapes. You know, positive music does this, negative music does that, and by positive and negative, I'm not talking like a battery where it's needed and useful, but you know, like a good intent and bad intent.
Different tones and frequencies you talking about?
Yeah, and you see the shapes of them, and they look exactly like that, except it's it's sound waves, and then there's sand or something on that on a plate.
Yes.
But now I'm thinking about water, and now I'm getting lost in thought because something that it's kind of like a recurring thing just for me. Whenever I talk to other MEers, it's something that I got to do.
I think it all feeds in together.
I think
it all affects each other.
It does.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee was right, and he wasn't just talking about martial arts. He's talking about getting things done, about becoming water.
Have you seen the rice experiment?
The what?
Yeah.
The rice experiment. So what they do is they take the same concept of the ice water, and they put rice in 2 different jars, same rice.
Oh yeah.
And made in the same pot, and they'll put love intent into one and hate intent into the other every day. A week or two, the one with love shows next to no sign of changing. Why is this odd? Because the one with hate is then molded over.
I think actually it was free, wasn't it? DarkWolf, it was 3 jars. The one with the loves began to ferment, and they were in distilled water to begin with. The one that was ignored had showed no change, and the one that was hate began to mold. Yeah,
correct.
I forgot about the constant.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, the other thing
they have a neutral.
Yes, control. You always got to have a control. I mean, the other thing is like with water, in terms of water, but slightly different is to your audience. If you've got a microwave, get rid of it now. Get it out of your home. Never use it again. Because if you can see what happens to plants fed microwaved water compared to other types of water, you'll never use it again. And if you have to use it, do not stand within, I think it's 5 feet of it when it's switched on, unless you've got one of those aprons that radiographers use in a hospital to protect themselves, because people have measured the radiation within 5 feet when it's switched on. You don't want to be anywhere near it. So if you've got a microwave, get rid of it. Please.
But what about my other toys?
Well, then get Protector. Altera is a brand.
Just got a microwave yesterday. Are you serious?
Well, you
put it in the garage.
Like, where will it end? Seriously, where will it end? Can I not go outside because the sun is radiation?
Sorry.
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
I'm afraid not.
That brings
I'm
me into my
kidding.
next question. So there's been a submitted question. Yeah. Somebody has asked, somebody who usually prefers to stay private, so I won't put their name out there, but where do we go from here? Now that we know this is possible, now that we know that manifestation is real, that our thoughts literally affect reality, all the way down to water molecules, even on the subatomic level. So now that we have this information, we know this, we have this knowledge, now what? Where do we go from here? What next?
Who wants to go
Jill?
first?
Where do we go from here? We make leaders out of leaders. So continue to, empower people. People. Go ahead, Katmir.
No, it's that, but that's already happening, at least amongst the groups that we're involved in, where I'm actually going there. Okay, I'll go there. We're basically doing like the shamans did back in the day. I mean, the OG shamans. All those women over there in this side of the planet right now, where they travel far to go meet up in the mountains, share all their information about what they know concerning medicine and healing and leading, and then taking that back to their villages wherever they lived at. We're already doing that. It seems to be like a natural occurrence here. And as far as what, once we learn all those things, I mean, it's nothing new, at least outside of the Emmy community, What do we do with it? I'm not 100% sure, but I will say that I might be influenced by the pop culture that I tend to follow, and I have this desire that's in the back of my head that if I can only turn all those Gwen towers into pillars of salt or snowflakes, that would improve things. It's not the best idea, but I think that's the gist of it, if you know what I mean.
Towers?
Well, it's reality altering. I mean, reality has been altered for us, and if that's the case, and it is, then we should in turn alter reality over here. The other people are too busy sticking with their, they've got their one-track mind. No offense, but that's what they're doing. It is what they're doing. I mean, they can put the coexist bumper sticker on their car all they want. They have to live it. We are, and I think, even amongst the emirs, even more so because of the Mandela effect. Everybody else, as far as I know, they can't engage in the conversation. I don't know of anybody who hasn't been affected by this phenomenon that's coming into the community and working with the community. They're just kind of like out there and they're sticking to their thing and they got their routine and that's cool. But further than that, I don't know. Maybe
so
we gotta
let the talk.
There's that, but like as to what to actually do with it. Okay, let's just say that we're making them blind see and they don't need to go see a doctor. Let's say that we're taking entire fields of GMO crops and turning them into natural, organic, beautiful things. Okay, let's say we're doing that. Okay, might be far-fetched, but with these water experiments, really just writing a word on a sticker and sticking it in a jar. You want to talk about spelling?
Yeah.
Freaking use it. What do we do with
so
it?
What do we do?
I think it's I think it's going to have to be something drastic like that. I mean, call it Hollywood, but it might as well be reality. We're here.
What do we do, guys?
We do that. We do that.
We're gonna do it.
I'm probably using the very wrongest words ever.
No, you're making a lot of sense, man.
It's less worse, sir.
Your point of view.
Thank you.
And I think the audience is too. I think the audience is really loving where this is going. Mel, what about yourself? Where do we go from here? What's the next step?
I think the first thing we need to do is start doing the learning to pass our driving tests. So once we can drive these bodies, after that, you can become a fighter pilot, you can drive a bus, a train. Metaphorically, it doesn't matter what kind of skill set, an area you specialize in, whether you're going to be a healer, whether you're going to be clairvoyant, whether you're going to be a channeler, whether you're going to be this, that, this. At the moment, the basics is everyone needs to learn how to drive these cars with these avatars. Okay, so that's the first step. After that, you, like any learning, you decide where your skill set is and your interest is. But I think one thing we all need to be very careful and mindful of, and it's perfectly understandable, but I think the emotions that we feel when we're using the words, we have to be very careful of. If we continue to have this us and them attitude, every aspect of society, it's an us and them attitude somewhere, and now we're doing it. We all complain about it. We think we're higher consciousness, and we think, we're above that. We're not. You know, because the very fact that we label ourselves as different from others means we're not. We need to get past this, because if there's one thing a Mandela effect is going to teach everybody, is that there is no difference really between me and Shell Shell, you know, me and Katmir, or me and DarkWolf, and all of us, because we are one consciousness. We're just droplets in an ocean of droplets, and part of that means we have to we may not condone the actions of others, but we have to learn to understand them and forgive them with wisdom. Because if we don't, if we hate, we're hating ourselves. And all we're doing is continuing this mess of madness and sin. So, yeah, I think, yeah, that's it.
No, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm totally convinced that the reason I'm not flying around Supermaning things is because of that. It doesn't work that way. It just won't work. You know. But it doesn't work. You can't force it to happen. Right. I was having a conversation earlier with some really awesome people on Discord. Gosh, I hate saying Discord. It should be Harmony.
Right?
Yeah.
What a goofy name for a program like that.
It is, especially when the initial idea is to bring people together anyway. So
right.
To develop Harmony. Let's do it.
It's newspeak, like they use. Whatever they say, they mean the opposite.
Double speak.
So,
double talk.
Yeah, that's it. Double speak. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
in the know.
My train totally derailed.
You were talking to some awesome people on Discord earlier.
I sure was, and we were talking about lucid dreaming, and the people that I was talking to, we shared one thing in common, where in the lucid dreams, we learned that in that state where you realize you're dreaming, but you, instead of watching it all happen, you get to interact with it. When it comes to traveling and you want to fly, if you focus on things like, oh no, I'm going to fall, I need a running start, I have like a distance between where I am and the ground, flying doesn't work. If you don't think about those limitations, you soar and you get to wherever it is that you're thinking of going, and it's just like the easiest thing. So it has to be that way. It has to be that way. And that's something that I'm coming to terms with. What Mel said. It's like, I'm you, and you are me. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I rebel. I am myself. I'm not you.
He said, I do not condone.
I do not condone consent.
I don't choose.
I don't comply. No, I will wear red hoodies instead of that. Anyway.
We're the Borg.
I know. Seriously. Yeah, we're all the Borg. We're all like a collective, and we're all going to act the same exact way because there is no individuality. Ew. I know. I've heard those kind of arguments too, but that's not the freaking point. The point is to cooperate. You know, it's the easiest plan ever. We all come down here. We talk to each other. That's it.
That's it.
You know,
that's it.
Really
let me ask you guys, while I have you, you mentioned lucid dreaming, and that made me think of another question that I like to ask everybody. Starting with Mel this time. What is dream? What are dreams? What do you think actually happens when we're in our dreams? Because even science is kind of up in the air about this. They have theories and ideas, but even science can't tell us what really happens. So, in your opinion, what happens when we dream?
Well, I think we put things into long-term memory in part of our dream cycle. So we simply review events, by reviewing them that are significant to us, they go into long-term memory storage. So that's like moving from your RAM to your hard drive. Then you've got the the dreams where you're dealing with emotions and trying to understand why you feel in a certain way. And how to get out of it sometimes, so those dreams. And then there's astral travel, out-of-body experiences. So yeah, I think there's a variety of things going on.
All right. Shell, what about you? Do you think it's all just mental memory work and our brains resetting for the next day, or do you think there's a little bit more to it, spiritually, physically? What?
I hear people talk about shadow work or their shadow self. And Melly, you've actually mentioned it. And sometimes people say they wake up tired the next day because they think their shadow self was up to lessons or whatever. And for me, myself, like I've had lucid dreams, and I remember distinctly saying, I want to remember this. I want to remember this. And I know I'm touching this real world, like the world we live in right now. And I've actually written something in the sand years later, having that feeling of deja vu going, this is the place. I know I drew something in the sand right over there. And I went over there and it was there. And I'm like, and I showed my husband and everything. And I was like, this is real. And I took pictures and it's in the computer, but I haven't even looked at it. That's how fantastic this world is that we're living in right now. That stuff like that happens right under your nose. And you're just like, what's the next thing? I'm just saying. It's like, I saw a lucid dream and I could touch this world. But I'm just like, what's the next cool thing I can learn?
I love your enthusiasm.
That's what I want to do. I want to learn more things. Let's go. Let's keep moving. Keep moving.
Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Move along.
Yeah, come on. Move along. Move along. Let's go. Woohoo.
And then finally, Katmir, who brought the subject up to begin with, talking about lucid dreaming, which I've had a couple instances of here and there, but never a controlled one. What, in your opinion, are dreams?
Jeepers.
Jeepers.
You
too? Hope not.
Jeepers.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
Don't you know you don't have to really answer the question? You just hear it and just say whatever you want. Sorry.
That's right. That's the dream answer. You get jeepers, and then you look up the meaning, and then you find out a lot of things. Just getting lost in rabbit holes. There's just so many different things that happen to me in dreams. The last one I had, I had a different lifetime of memories even then. Pardon my pop culture referencing, but I honestly woke up like Neo did in the movie, where he's like asking the dude, like, you ever had a dream that seemed more real than when you wake up? Right. It was one of those. And the other part of that is that I kind of shared it with a friend of mine from Savannah. We corroborated amongst ourselves. But I'm not exactly sure what dreams are, but in my experience, it's like peeking into other worlds and other places where I exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be the next Mandela effect, except it'll probably be the Mandala effect.
Mandala.
Yeah. Well, we're using we're like starting to create this new language that's like a mishmash of different spiritual terminology and so forth, mixed in with the science that backs it up. So there's a lot of this third dimension, fifth dimension, and then densities and so forth. So I'm going in that direction. Yeah, Muggles. Just throw them in there.
Thanks.
So good. Jedi mind tricks.
Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far,
all bets are off. All bets are off. I mean, we just went from
one
aspect of reality to another, and we're talking about things like lucid dreaming and magic, like anyone else would, like tying their shoes. So, like Is there a limit?
If we are mad, then
You
I'm
put
really
one on
happy to
it.
be mad, put it that way.
I heart this madness. It's so great. Wonderland.
It's a
Trying
lot
to-
more fun. Join
No.
Trying
us.
to put your
Be
limits.
mad. Like us.
Be limitless. Like the story
Mel,
we
what
heard
do you-
today from. Okay.
So have you ever had, Mel, starting with Mel, a psychic dream?
What you mean, like precognition?
Okay, so I hate the use of that word, and next week's show we'll get into why that's such a horrible word. But like a precog dream, like an ESP dream, something that's happened in your dream, and you're waking, you're walking around like, oh crap, I've been here, I dreamed this. Like, have you ever had any kind of instance like that?
Yeah, I have done through my life. I've had dreams that have then come true. Just in this, it's a bit like deja vu, but you dreamt it. But I've had precog during the day, which is obviously better because you get more of a picture. I've always lucid dreamed, so yeah, but I have had a few, in my lifetime.
Okay. And the reason I chose you is because you went with the complete scientific answer to what dreams really are. So I was wondering, like, have you ever had a psychic experience in a dream? Shell, what about your, again, I know it's such a generic word, but have you had a precog dream, if you will?
I'm going to go with no because, like, I have to think about what we're talking about and it really comes to mind immediately. So I think it's something I have to think about.
How about deja vu moments? Do you have a lot of deja vu moments in your life?
So to me, that's just being, every moment is serendipity, where I'm supposed to be. And yeah, I guess you could say that I have moments where I know that where I am and for a reason. And if there's something bad happening, I'm there for a reason to do something. Or if a good thing's happening, to wake up and really soak it up and take it in. So I'd say that I think every moment of your life is wondering if you're on the right vector and you're going where you're supposed to go. And it's like, well, what's your intention? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Like what's your choice?
Right.
You say something about limit, or Katmir said something about limit, and like, be limitless. Don't put a limit. There shouldn't be a limit. And that reminds me of the story I heard earlier today about the honeybees. They shouldn't be able to fly, but nobody told them that, so they can.
That's true. Yeah, that's I learned that in elementary school. They're, by all rights, they should not be able to fly.
So we should be able to fly.
Just like the dinosaurs should not have been able to exist.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just like the dinosaurs should not have been able to exist because of their size and be cold-blooded, and let alone get the blood up those huge necks. It's just, yeah.
Wow.
Gravity was different.
That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show.
It sure is.
Science
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
3 different things.
No, it's learning to fly. It's like letting yourself be able to fly. That's what we're going to do.
Before we get off on that next show, because I really don't want to go another 2.5 hours on the topic, Katmir, have you had any precog dreams?
Yes. Yes, I have. And the dream was about a particular house. I had this dream, let me see, it was 2001, and somewhere in the vicinity of 2007, buying a home, we come upon this particular one, and all the parameters fit it exactly. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
A bunch of other things happened, but I'll focus on that.
A friend of mine talked about a building with a bunch of crazy floors and hallways and stairs and whatnot. And they said a few years later, they ended up working in the same place that they had seen in their vision years and years and years prior. So I thought that was really neat. That's a person that I know personally. I thought that was really, really awesome. So,
Wow.
all right, so we're going to start to round out here a little bit. Katmir does not have a YouTube channel, but we very much appreciate you being on with us, bud. Anything you would like to leave the audience with?
Keep exploring. This is an adventure. You should enjoy it and make the most of it.
Oh, I love that. What great advice. Keep exploring. Man, that's
Yay.
great. Well said, sir. Melony, you want to tell people how to reach your YouTube channel, what you do on there a little bit, and any advice you've got for people?
I'll put a link in a second into live chat. Yeah, I'll just talk about things that I learn about, but I haven't put anything on there for a while. But I will be putting more on next year and more varied topics. So please subscribe.
Definitely. Please subscribe to both her and Miss Shell's channel over here.
Miss Shell. Pray over your water.
If you want to tell us a little bit about to get everybody information, how to get a hold of you and stuff.
What? Oh, just look for Shell on YouTube. But my words of advice would be about praying to water and make sure that you start to bring in some great intentions with water. That's what I just learned tonight. So I want to try and do that every day. Try not to think too much and make sure you're thinking from your heart. And bring some water into it and bless your water and make it the way you want it to be.
Absolutely. I think that's brilliant advice because, that water thing, that's so, like, the more you think about it, the more implications it really has. Mel, any last words of advice? I know we gave you your YouTube stuff. Any last words of advice?
Don't be scared. Don't let the fear porn get to you, okay? Is there things to worry about? Absolutely. But does that mean you need to feel disempowered and scared about it? No, definitely not. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive.
Yay!
It sure is.
If you guys want to hang out for a minute right after the show or right after the broadcast, we can hang out and kind of chit-chat just a little bit after show if you want. You're more than welcome to. I'm going to go ahead and get everybody out real quick. All right, guys, we really appreciate you guys being here. It's been a blast. We've had a great, great show. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already. Share it all over anywhere you can. Put it on Hangouts. Put it on Discord. Let everybody know we're here. We're doing this every Monday night. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, remember always, like I say, stay awake. Bye, everybody.